Here's why we have a left and a right order derivation. Is pretend we have, well, frankly, what's called ambiguity. You can't program ambiguity, can you? I mean, can you imagine doing that with, oh, geez, I'll let this go? You can't do that in programming. You know how very, very structured programming is. So think about creating a grammar that has ambiguity. It just doesn't happen. So what's going to happen is that you're going to do a left and a right derivation on a given grammar and a target syntax. And if the parse trees, and notice I did not say derivations, I said parse trees. If the parse trees don't match like you see here, we've got a problem. Because again, we want to make sure that it's consistent, because eventually I'm going to be starting to introduce more and more math into our, well, grammars. And as you know, math is going to take a certain order. And in these two examples that you see right here, math's not in the right order. Or it could be different, and that's a problem. Math should always be done the same way, especially math. Can you imagine that? So that's what, in proving our ambiguity, we're trying to mismatch this time with the same target syntax, but you're doing a left or a right derivation. So you just see ambiguity, that's a bad thing. Let's put it right off the bat, it's bad. Ugh. So here's a couple more examples of proving the same thing. Now, number one, the grammars are never going to be this easy. These are just examples, whatever. But if we wanted to do multiplication like we have here, you're going to notice that number one, I did the overall parse tree of it first. And as you know, multiplication, especially if our syntax is just 3 plus 4 times 5, 4 times 5 should happen first. And that's not what the right tree says. The right tree says, because things are at the bottom here, because remember, we're in the tree, we're working our way up the tree. It says to do the addition first and then the multiplication. That's bad news. Then also, just to prove it with the derivation, which again, I'm not usually not proving this with the derivation, but more with a picture and a parse tree. You can see how this is breaking down, and well, it's not supposed to be that way. So we got to be very, very careful when it comes to that. And here's another example of the same idea with using some operators here. But it's scary. We want it to be very consistent. And if it's not, that's a bad news grammar, and it's a bad for things that we'll have to fix. That part sucks too.